This is Comic Picks by the Click, and this is your host. Wait, I'm John Murphy. I'm not a host.
No, you're the co-host.
I'm the co-host.
You're the sidekick. You're the Andy Richter. You're the Ed McMahon.
And that is Jason Glick.
Yes, I am your host.
He's the real host.
Yeah. All right, and this time, well, I'm back talking about one of my favorite mainstream comic subjects. That is the X-Men.
All right.
Yeah, because this time, like they said, they're like the collect editions of their most recent crossover, Second Coming, have arrived, and like rather than write them up on the side, I figured now would be a good time to talk about them, because I mean, like, this is, on one hand, this is technically this is a fairly significant event compared to previous crossovers. I mean, Marvel would like to have you believe this is a final part of a trilogy, leading to the reversal of the events of M-Day, where where pretty much like all of Marvel's mutants, like 90% of Marvel's mutants were depowered and just like turned into ordinary people. It's like it was just left, and mutant was just like reduced to like a fraction, a pressed and hunted minority. Now, I've talked about over a year ago about how Messiah Complex was a really good crossover event. Like, had clear focus, specific idea of what it wanted to do, and it accomplished its goals in spectacular fashion. Problem is that the follow-up to that event has just been kind of like largely swing and a miss. I mean, we've got everyone's just been kind of like sitting around twiddling their thumbs, and like there's been like some good stories. I mean, I've liked Matt Fraction's work on Uncanny X-Men. I like Mike Carey's work on X-Men Legacy as well, but their events to actually follow up on these series, like Dwayne Swierczynski's Cable series has just been largely uninspiring. The Marvel Universe equivalent of like the Coyote and the Roadrunner cartoons, where Cable and Hope are basically chased by Bishop for like 4 volumes. And like as I said last week on the website, it's like you can just skip all 4 volumes of Cable before you go into this. All you need to know prior to Second Coming is that. Well, okay, it's not entirely all you need to know, but I'll get to that in a second. Because, like, the actual crossover is a big, messy summer blockbuster of a read. I mean, it's got high action, high drama, like Fate of Mutant kind at stake, and it largely delivers on promising a big, exciting, game-changing read. Now, it's like the build-up for it has just been kind of like hasn't really been like that focused. I mean, while Messiah Complex had tie-ins from both X-Men and Uncanny X-Men, basically Cable has been the build-up for this, and that's just been like huge miss. All you need to know is that now Cable and Hope have finally arrived back in the modern day, and what's waiting for them? Basically, the evil Nimrod Master Mold Amalgam Bastion. He's basically masterminded the efforts to wipe out mutanity in the present day, and he's gone and resurrected a bunch of the X-Men's greatest human villains, including Stephen Lang, Bolivar Trask, Cameron Hodge, and Graydon Creed, in order to do so. Now, this threw me for a loop because before I picked this volume up, I thought, wait a second, aren't those guys dead? I mean, it's like that's the problem here. It's like, well, I consider myself reasonably up on general X-Men continuity. I haven't actually been reading 2 of the main series that are involved in this crossover, New Mutants and X-Force. Because New Mutants, I've heard, has been all right, but generally inessential. X-Force, I've just heard, has just been way too serious for its own good, and I haven't even bothered with it, except for the Messiah War crossover, which was terrible, and just reinforced my decision to not bother with it. Anyway, that's come back to bite me in the ass here, and it's just that's disappointing. But the thing is, I mean, okay, if you're expecting but that's the thing with X-Men. I mean, it's continuity, baby. You've got if you're not already involved in the X-Men, then this crossover is not going to do it for you, because it's basically resolving a lot of stuff that's already been set in motion. So yeah, So if you've been reading every X-Men title, then yeah, you're going to be up on things. If you're only only reading half of it, like I have, then you're going to be missing some things. But you can still follow the story. If you don't read X-Men, well, I don't want to actually tell my audience to stop listening. But yeah, really, just stop listening now, because it's just going to get worse from here. Anyway, that being said, the storyline is basically divided up into three acts. You've got you got the first act where Cable and Hope arrive and are promptly chased around by by Bastion and his human cronies. It's like then the X-Men find out that they're back, and then they send out X-Force and some of the rest of the mutants into the field. Problem is that some events happen that eventually reveal that, hey, Scott has actually authorized X-Force. Like mutants who will kill and do whatever is necessary in order to combat any threats to mutant kind. Well, that doesn't sit well with a lot of the cast, especially Nightcrawler, who basically wants to have things out with Scott right then and there. But this first arc is basically a big Hollywood style chase. Like Cable and Hope are on the run. They're being tracked by Bastion. And Bastion's doing his best efforts to confound the X-Men, and it's handled really well. Because the thing is, there are 4 different writers here. Basically, Matt Fraction doing Uncanny, Mike Carey doing X-Men Legacy, Craig Kyle and Chris Yost doing X-Force, and Zeb Wells doing New Mutants. It all hangs together pretty coherently. I mean, a lot of people would consider that these guys aren't really able to give their apply their own voice and style to these stories here, that they're basically subsumed by the whole business of the crossover, a bad thing. I don't, because on one hand, if you're not having these people having these guys drag the crossover in their own directions according to their own style is just going to result in one inconsistent, incoherent read. I mean, it's I was even kind of a little bit put off by the fact you could see Peter David's style peeking out at every turn in the Messiah Messiah Complex crossover. Here, though, everyone works together pretty well, and while I can see bits of their style poking out from time to time, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just adds just a little bit of color here, especially with Matt Fraction's witticisms in his Uncanny issues. But still, we get a lot of great action in the first story, and it also does a good job of selling us on the threat of the whole crossover. Basically, Mutanity's savior has arrived here, and we've got to go to any lengths in order to save her. And also get a lot of action on Bastion's end from his cronies trying to stop him. So it's a lot of fun from there. Then you get to the second act where things dial back a bit, and also X-Men have to take stock and realize that one of our greatest heroes died in order to get Hope to our island Utopia in order to save Mutanity. And it's we get his funeral, and while I like the character, on one hand he hasn't had a lot of stuff to do in recent history. So on one hand his death comes off as a bit of shock value, and just he's gone, he's missed, but he wasn't actually doing anything, so that's why he was allowed to die. Yeah. Then we get Bastion setting his next game, which is basically encircling the entire city of San Francisco and the adjacent areas. It's in a giant impenetrable force field. And then also summoning a bunch of Nimrods, Sentinels from the future, to go and wipe out the rest of the X-Men. Now that leads to a whole lot of fighting at first, and also the Avengers show up on the outside of the field just to pay some lip service to the fact that, hey, this event is still happening in the Marvel Universe. Of course, we're not actually able to do anything because if the Avengers are able to bust in and save the X-Men, that wouldn't be a very X-Men story. But then in when we get to the final act, basically Cable has one last charge in his time machine to take them into the future. Bastion's future, to stop the production of the Nimrods and basically cut off the attack. So he does that. So Scott Cyclops gives the okay to send him into the future, effectively killing his son and the rest of X-Force as they try and cut off the timeline and also the assault of the Nimrods. Of course, the assault against the Nimrods also takes up the main bulk of the attack, bulk of the storyline in the present time, as everyone else is trying to beat the crap out of them, and generally doing a good job, but also failing because limbs get blown, lives get lost, people get charred. It's a lot of great action here, and it all culminates in the final chapter where Hope and Bastion go toe to toe, and we finally find out what Hope's Special Mutant powers is. Now, this is the only spoiler I want to discuss because basically Hope is basically kind of like a voodoo doll for the entire mutant race. She's basically has the powers of any available mutant, and that's including the Phoenix entity, because it was hinted way back in Messiah Complex that she was basically the rebirth of Jean Grey, who has basically been dead for a lot longer than I would have expected from Marvel. But basically that also leads into the epilogues, which set the next stage of storylines for the X titles, and also have another funeral because someone else dies as well, and I will admit that this guy really has a good heroic death. And on one hand, his death would be more if it weren't for the fact that he has died several times before and come back from them just as well. So we'll see how long his death sticks. Yeah, but we also get other bits such as Cyclops telling Rogue that she's off the team because of her actions during the crossover. Storm and Wolverine having it out over X-Force's actions, and Wolverine deciding to start up X-Force again under his own recognizance. And also, most significantly, the fact that at the very end, we get to see that there are 5 new X-Gene signatures popping up over the course throughout the world. Now, that is most significant because really it shows that we're getting back to like traditional X-Men stories here. Like, we get them finding out, like, the mutant race is going to continue. We're going to get new mutants. We're going to have stories where X-Men go and find the new mutants, and let's say find out what their new powers are. Find out what teen angst metaphor they're going to be serving. And generally I like that. I like that direction, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it's going to be, where it's going to go. But the thing is, though, it's like it seems it's mainly going to be followed up by Matt Fraction and later Kieran Gillen, because he's joining Fraction in a couple of issues. Let's see, because Mike Carey is basically continuing telling stories about Rogue. Let's see, X-Force is being relaunched under writer Rick Remender's work guidance, and I've heard good things about the first issue, so I'm looking forward to checking out that series. And then there's the new X-Men series by writer Victor Gischler. Now the thing is, like, he's basically telling a story about the X-Men versus vampires, and while I've heard mixed things about it, just the fact that, Gischler is a guy who has basically made his name writing Deadpool for the past year or so, and he doesn't strike me as like the kind of like A-list writer that I'd want to see handling the X-Men. So, it's like I just can't really. It's like I want to maybe I will pick up this X-Men versus Vampire story, but if I do, it probably won't be until Comic-Con next year when I can find it in the half-off bins or for sale for 50% off somewhere. Because like I said, it does not sound inspiring, and like I said, I just wish that when you're doing like a new X-Men series, that's basically like a new X-Men 1, which is like the last time they did an X-Men 1 was the biggest selling comic book of all time, 8 million copies, and this one, well. I mean, geez. I mean, it's like we're doing another core X title, and you're just getting like some guy who isn't even one of Marvel's A-list talents to write it. I mean, hey, if Brian Michael Bendis would have been a great choice to write it because he's golden, but apparently he's just like writing Avengers these days. Anyway, but let me wrap up the talk about the main crossover by saying that it does have a lot of great art. I mean, like generally all the artists were able to contribute equally like to their series. I mean, you've got like great art from the opening chapter by David Finch, who does some great action scenes such as the highway assault at the beginning thing. Then you got Terry Dodson. I'm working on the Uncanny X-Men issues, and he's got a great, appealingly cartoonish style. I wish he could have done all the Matt Fraction's issues, but sadly he wasn't. Ibrahim Roberson the guy I'd never heard of, does New Mutants, and I love the shaded detail that he brings to his work. It's not something I'd expect to see in a superhero series, but it works really well in context of things. And then you've got Mike Choi doing the X-Force issues. He's got a beautiful, graceful style that like it's great with action, great with like the look of the characters. I mean, it's beautiful stuff, and I kind of wonder like why this guy isn't like more of a superstar, because it's just. because I love his work here. Now, only ringer here is Greg Land. Now, while I generally like the detail he brings to his work, the problem is that his work is so photo-referenced that his facial expressions just look absolutely unreal. As soon as the man learns to actually draw convincing emotion on humans, then I'll be looking forward to seeing his name on stuff again. In the meantime, I'm glad that he's not going to be the new artist on X-Men Legacy, from some guy named Clayman is. But hey, I'll take what I can get. But still, like I'm looking like X-Men's future looks promising. It's just, but as always with how I read X-Men, it's just a matter of like knowing which titles to follow. Okay, now, normally that would be the end, but this time, though, they've actually been a series of tie-ins to this crossover. And they were collected in the X-Men Second Coming Revelations hardcover. Now, I will say that none of this stuff is absolutely essential to understanding the crossover. It picks up on a lot of plot threads, but but if you want to just read Second Coming, you actually don't need to buy this. But still, this is actually a collection of really good tie-ins. I mean, first of all, it devalues Cable Volume 4 even further by including the Hope, a girl called Hope backup strips by Swierczynski and Steve Dillon. And that, like I said, that's a really good encapsulation of Hope of Cable and Hope's relationship and their struggles throughout before they came back to the present. So really, it's like you can read this and basically you don't need to actually bother with any of Cable's 4 volumes. Yeah. Then you've got the X-Men Blind Science one-shot. Now, this is written by a guy named Cy Spurrier, who's done a lot of like Ghost Rider related work with Marvel recently. And I wasn't expecting much from this, but really, this is probably the best thing in the volume. Because it focuses on the X-Men Science Club, who were separated from the main group after they're asked to explore one of Bastion's towers that he was working on in the course of the series. Now its teams are made up of like Dr. Nemesis, an evil German scientist, but he's working for the good guys now. Madison Jeffries, kind of like Rain Man with electronics. He can talk to them, but he's not really good with people. And Kavita Rao. Now, John, you should know who this is, but I'm willing to bet you can't actually remember her name.
Say it again. You said
Kavita Rao.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely didn't.
Yeah.
Ring a bell.
She's from Joss Whedon's X-Men stories.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Because his initial storyline where a cure for mutanity was created.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
She was the one who created it, and now she's working with the X-Men science team.
Gotcha.
And this story focuses on her because like all three of them are flung into the future through Bastion's technology. And apparently, this future is one where Bastion failed to stop the mutants, and eventually they were all subsumed in a single entity called the Hub, and they're just like taking over the future and just ruining things. The only person who wasn't consumed was Hank McCoy, because he actually kept a sample of Rao's cure, and now that it's gone, he needs her to synthesize a new version of it in order to stop the mutant threat. Now, on one hand, there's a lot of good. On one hand, there's like some good moral arguments about like the necessity of destroying an entire species in order to save the rest, save everyone else. But it's also good because I will say it has a great twist to it that also ties it back into the main crossover extremely well. And I like Spurrier's handle on Rao, as well as Dr. Nemesis and Madison Jeffries as well, because they're just here for comic relief, but they provide great comic relief as well. Overall, it's a very, very strong story that if you don't want that, hey, if you don't want to pick up this volume, I would go ahead and recommend picking up this one shot, because it's a lot of fun, and it's very, very well written and drawn as well. Then you've got the X-Men Hellbound miniseries, which has Illyana, sister of of Colossus and Transporter, and also ruler of the demonic realm known as Limbo in the X-Men universe. Now she was sent into the back into Limbo through a weaponized ritual by the human militants early on in the crossover, and now Colossus is demanding that people go in after her to save her. Well, he wanted to go himself, but Cyclops said no. But instead, like, there have been a bunch of other people who are willing to do so. So you've got Cannonball, you got Gambit, you got Northstar, you got Dazzler, and you've also got some of the newer X-Men, such as Pixie, another teleporter who's the only one capable of going into Limbo, and she really doesn't want to go because last time she met Illyana ripped out a piece of her soul for some reasons that I don't know because I didn't read that storyline in New X-Men. But all you know is that, hey, Pixie is the key to this, and she doesn't like the person they're going to save. So you got drama right there. And like once they actually get to Limbo, like the fun begins because not only are they attacked by demons, but also because Gambit, who some of you will remember that he was working as Apocalypse's horseman, Death. Now, while I don't think it was ever explained how he got free of Apocalypse's control. That personality is still lurking in the background, and the environment of Limbo allows it to come to the fore. And it's kind of funny because one of Illyana's enemies, Nastrith, the demon, is supposed to be a sensible villain here. Gambit quickly supplants him as he starts making his name known in the realm, and it's that's a nice twist there. And I also like the the drama between Illyana and Pixie. And really, it's like I could tell you that eventually everything is resolved and everyone gets to go home nicely, but that was eventually going to happen because X-Men don't deal in the level of nihilism that a bad ending that this would involve. But still, it's like I said, it's a predictable story, but the emotions are gone through with zest, and there's also demon fighting action. So that's always fun. So then we're on to the last story, which is also kind of like one of the main reasons I decided to pick this up because this is also contains the next 3 issues of X-Force. Now, well, I said last week that while I still really like X-Force, it's still probably no longer the series I would recommend to people who don't normally read X-Men because it just hasn't been at the level of quality that it originally was. But these 3 issues are still pretty entertaining. And you've got the X-Factor is basically been fragmented, and you've got Siren recuperating from things in Dublin. You got Layla Miller and Shatterstar stranded in Latveria. You've got Strong Guy and Monet in South America trying to rescue Monet's mother, and you got Madrox, Richter, Longshot, and Darwin in New York. Yeah, the teams spread out, completely fractured, both mentally and physically. And then you've got Bolivar Trask, Bastion's resurrected creator of the Sentinels, out to get them. Now the thing is, this story basically provides it's basically a nice bit of deck clearing for X-Factor. Just get all the drama that's kept the team separated for so long off the table, gives them a unified threat to fight against, and basically they set things up for hey, team's back together, everyone's on generally good terms. Now we can get back to the thing of doing good character-driven mutant stories under Peter David's guidance. Now, and I have to admit that some of the best parts in the story are just throwaway bits from David, because there's some bits where you see Bastion just asserting his mind control over Trask, and then he's basically feeding lines to Trask. He's saying they have abrogated their right to live by dint of their existence, and Trask just cannot pronounce abrogated, and so Bastion goes abrogated. So it's fun seeing him do stuff like that. Then you've also got bits where the Absorbing Man comes, one of Marvel's resident supervillains comes in to ask X-Factor for help in tracking down his unfaithful wife. And then then you also let's see what else do we have here, because I remember there being some really good bits. Oh, and you also got the henchmen who helped kidnap Monet's dad. Like after their leader transports Monet and Monet himself and Strong Guy back to New York, they're kind of like wondering, wait, what about us? And then the entire place is annihilated by Bastion's fire team. And you've also got like Shatterstar, who is from an alternate reality. Because he used to be like fighting on an alternate reality game show, but so generally he has no idea how things work in our world. So basically when he's found out that he's driving Layla Miller and Siren to safety. He's doing it by driving right down the middle of the road full bore. So I mean that's a lot of fun, but it's basically just like 3 issues of these guys fighting and not a whole lot of character stuff, which is what I like reading the series for. So really, I mean, it's entertaining stuff, and it saves me from having to buy the next volume in hardcover, but it's still entertaining. Like overall, this is like a worthy it's a worthy collection of tie-ins, and if you like the Second Coming crossover, I'd recommend this as well. I mean, like, hey, if you're an X-Men fan, you're obligated to buy this stuff, but still, I mean, like, hey, like it helps the case, but by the fact that hey, these are actually entertaining. Though I will say on a final note, don't be put off by the cover, because I like David Finch, but the cover for Second Coming is just kind of like they gave one of their interns 5 minutes with Photoshop to convert one of his covers into into the hardcover cover. Well, I think that really if they had gone with Adi Granov's cover to Second Coming, which is a great bit of foreshadowing and posing by the team, because it's just really nice. You got Bastion looking down on them with Cyclops, Wolverine, Cable, and Hope on it. I mean, it's just nice. It's just an estimation of like all the major players in the series. So, but yeah, that's just a minor quibble. Overall, highly recommended. Go and pick them up. All right. And on that note, I'm going to call it a night. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Not to talk about The Walking Dead, because because by the time I come back, like The Walking Dead it'll be time for The Walking Dead to premiere on AMC, which you should all watch. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. But really, it's like I'm sure that I've talked enough about the series to know that hey, I love it, and it's great. I'm really looking forward to the TV series. Like I'm actually going to watch it instead of waiting for someone to feed me the digital copies.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. And on that note, everyone, calling it a night.
All right. See you later.
Yep.